Here's some conflicting headline numbers for you. ADP reports that October grew 42,000 jobs. ADP also reports that private sector for the last 4 weeks has been shedding 11,250 jobs per week. And the cherry on top is during that time the government was shut down, so public paychecks should have been on the decline, right? Well, if you think I'm good at political analysis, just wait until I get into labor. This is my bread and butter. This is my skills prime. If you want to grasp labor, you have to be ready to see the numbers that are naturally conflicting and yet not contradictory. See, to understand labor numbers, you need to grasp that the numbers are always telling a story. For example, the government was shut down, but that doesn't mean public sector employees are on the decline. First of all, not all of the government was shut down. ICE is still on a hiring binge. If ICE hires tens of thousands of people nationwide, that will cushion a lot of the harm from the public sector jobs being lost. The other consideration with public jobs is that the federal government has been shedding responsibility to the states. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but I will say that it is absolutely a less efficient thing when it comes to manpower. One FEMA and one organizational structure will have less redundancies than 50 units having to accomplish the same tasks. And FEMA is just one small organization. Think about the jobs shifting from federal to state in health and education. Would it shock you to learn that during the span measured, the largest increase of jobs was in health and education? Looking close at these numbers, there's a factor that is ever present. If someone goes from working one well paid job to two shitty paying jobs, in the numbers, that's a win. If you are working for UPS as a well paid driver, and then when you leave, you're working for Uber while also cleaning houses, you now have two paychecks. That's twice the jobs. And finally, one last contradiction in the story to grasp. This contradiction will help explain why there's two different worlds. Why you may experience a downturn economy, but your well off neighbor doesn't experience it. When investments become risky, rich people don't sit on their money, they buy things. When the economy tanks, sales in things like Rolex increase. See, money burns holes in people's pockets, especially those with a lot of money. And if money isn't being used to make money, then that's when you use the money for the purpose it was originally intended for: hedonistic consumerism. None of these things in isolation can explain for the contradiction in the numbers, but I hope hearing how these things impact the numbers will give you a better understanding of the story behind them.